Okay, I want to speak about another time about jazz recorder, which is sound like a contradiction itself, but the recorder was my first ever instrument. I was 14 years old. My two other schoolmates that in the what is we call that middle school from 11 to 13 years old, they studied, so to speak, practiced the recorder with the German fingering, not the one I use with Baroque or English fingering. We started on a Mech Schoolflote that I deem to be a very expensive instrument, a very good instrument, which is an entry-level wood recorder. And the case was a plastic case. If somebody is 60-year-old can remember, and there was a leaflet with all the instruments that Mac used to build at the time, all sort of old ancient instruments. They don't make them anymore, so all kind of double reed instruments, historic instruments, historic clarinet, all maybe also the cornetto with O, and this is in Italian cornetta with A. So I play wooden recorders and brass instruments. Then I learned the transverse flute, then the saxophone, clarinet. I was in a military band as a clarinet player. It was mandatory to. There was a draft. I didn't choose to be a soldier. By the time there were no wars. It was a different period in 1984, 1985. But in Italy, it was not considered a proper bona fide instrument. And still now, many people look down upon the recorder because they're basically ignorant, have no idea about the repertoire, the Baroque repertoire, and the new repertoire that don't like it at all. This kind of contemporary music. Sorry, I'm an old fart, and in spite of that, I recently recorded some very, I know it's a contradiction, with the backing track, kind of free jazz, but not so free. I mean, okay, but there's still a rhythm. There's still some things are very vapid nonsense. Mainly, if you write everything, it's very difficult to play. But that's a horse of different color. So I play the recorder off and on. Now it's 46 years since I started in 1977, 78, the recorder. What I like about a recorder, the sound. I like that sound. Some people just dislike the sound of a recorder. I can understand that everybody has their own preferences. Mainly because they haven't heard the recorder played in a proper way, in a proper setting. Otherwise, most people seem to like it. I do basking, playing the recorder, and many people are surprised by the way a recorder can be played, even by me, that I'm not a very virtuoso. I'm not a virtuoso. But in the jazz field, I'm one of the few people who constantly try to play mainstream jazz on a recorder. I try to play following chords. I know with other instruments this something has been done for decades, if not almost a century, but not on a recorder. So everything sounds more difficult, but at the same time sound fresh and with vitality. In spite of the fact that you cannot, when I play the recorder, I don't have a lot of dynamics, and I don't easily play with dexterity. Some things are very difficult on a recorder, but that limitations in a way help you. You are you rely on swing, and the recorder can swing because it's very receptive to every change in the airflow, and it's very, very subtle when it comes to articulation with your tongue, more than any other wind instrument I ever played. So I can also have dynamics with some tricks. I lower my fingers, I use other fingers when I overblow and let air slip through the holes when I underblow. It's very, very difficult to play the right pitch when you use a lot of dynamics. If you play alone, you can get out of tune, it's just you, but your pitch can be very flat or very sharp, not with when you play with other people. So it's interesting. I take as templates flute, clarinets. Clarinets has a wide range, it's difficult to imitate. But saxophone player who play cool, or flutes, yes. Other styles of playing is difficult to imitate on the recorder to reproduce. At the end of the day, you have to come up with your own style. How do you come up with your own style? Listening to many people who play jazz, and basically play the instrument a lot. So you have to find your own style without being too much close. You sound like yourself so much. You do always the same thing. So that's difficult. I like a good challenge, and not many people can appreciate that because recorder players usually are not jazz lovers, and jazz lovers are not lovers of the sound of the recorder. But I'll tell you what, people who appreciate you a lot. I think that I noticed there are very few people who watch my videos, but those who watch them like them a lot. I know it sounds like I'm a swollen head. I'm not. I'm keep my feet on the ground. I use several recorders. The one I found myself more at home is the treble recorder or alto recorder, because the sound is not too high, not too low. The finger spacing is alright. I know in F, most play instruments are in C, like also play a little bit of a traverso, a transverse flute, but really like the sound of the alto recorder. No wonder it was most used in the Baroque period, because it really, you can play fast, the sound is not shrill, it's not too low, you can play fast because the finger spacing is not taxing, is good. So for the time being I use backing tracks, but I'm desperately looking for other instrument players. Yeah, we Rome in Italy, not the best place to find other people to play jazz, and mainly jazz recorder.